They denied it, they mocked it, they called it a conspiracy, but now, according to Frank Giustra, it's happening. On July 1st, gold will officially become money inside the US banking system, but that's just the beginning. Giustra has been warning about the silent reset for years, and in a recent interview with my colleague and ITM's own Daniela Cambone, he lays out the clearest proof yet that the global financial system is about to change forever. But this isn't just speculation, it's already happening, as he states that there is a behind closed doors plan that the media isn't talking about, but we are. Now, this interview has almost an hour of hard-hitting insights. I highly recommend everyone watch it, but today I'm going to be breaking it down. All of the key insights that you need to know about the coming monetary reset, hidden gold moves that no one is talking about, and how Basel III could impact you and your financial future. Let's get into it. We're going to start with the biggest catalyst of all, Basel III and the current reset. Now, Basel III is not just another set of boring banking regulations. It is a seismic shift that we all need to pay attention to. Introduced by the BIS, or the Bank for International Settlements, it was created in the wake of 2008 to supposedly make banks more stable. But the critical change I want to focus on is the reclassification of gold. See, as it stands today, gold is considered a Tier 3 asset on U.S. bank balance sheets, meaning it's considered risky and only valued at a fraction of its market price. In fact, according to Giustra, banks can only claim about 15% of gold's market price when using it as collateral, which of course de-incentivizes banks from holding gold. But under Basel III, gold will become a Tier 1 asset, meaning it will be considered as safe as cash and bonds. Yes, I know, don't get me started on how insane it is that dollars in debt are currently considered more safe than physical gold, but that's just the way it is. But this will be a huge shift. As Giustra says, the moment the US accepts gold as a Tier 1 asset, it accepts that gold is money. That changes everything. This is because institutions will now be able to hold gold at full value, something they can't do right now. And given that gold is the ultimate safe haven asset with no counterparty risk, they will be ditching their dollar-denominated assets and moving into gold, a shift we're already seeing happen today with the record amount of gold coming into the U.S. Here's Giustra talking about it directly.
Is it 600 tons? Is it 1,300 tons? Is it 2,000 tons? No one really knows for sure, but it's an incredible large sum of physical gold that's coming to the U.S. One of the reasons is that the big banks are getting ready for Tier 1 classification on gold and bringing in their gold into the U.S. so they can use it as part of their collateral system.
But this isn't just an isolated event. This is a massive shift that we can expect to see accelerate across the board if Basel III is implemented on July 1st. Now, I say if because there are multiple reasons why the United States might try and delay this further. As Daniela says,
my thoughts are because, well, they want to delay it because as soon as it's implemented, basically it shows it will basically kill the supremacy of the dollar.
Which I completely agree with, because the moment that gold and the dollar are on an even footing, both Tier 1 assets, it exposes a truth that the system has tried so hard to hide all of these years. Gold is real money. The dollar is simply a currency, a fiat currency backed by nothing but trust and debt. But this implementation doesn't just threaten the dollar's perception, it threatens the global reserve currency. If Basel III is implemented and countries continue to ditch the dollar, the question remains, what replaces it? Many speculate that it will be a BRICS currency, a basket of currency, or a crypto alternative, but Giustra offers his own answer: a return to gold, not as a currency, but as a settlement.
And now it's going to be incorporated back into the monetary system. And what that means is that if you believe that, then gold is going to have to be a lot higher to act as money in trade settlement deals between countries. And this is where I think is going to play the primary role in the shorter term until we get a global monetary reset.
But this isn't just a theory Giustra has. He goes on to talk about payment platform infrastructure, or how the Shanghai Gold Exchange is building warehouses to make gold settlement fast, seamless, and scalable. But if gold is going to be at the center of the new monetary system, positioned to settle international trade, hoarded by central banks, and reclassified within the United States, what does that mean? What can we expect for gold's price? Well, since the Basel III framework entered its final stages in 2023, the spot price of gold has jumped over 60%, and that is not a coincidence. That is a signal.
There's a mad rush for physical gold, and let's make sure that we differentiate between physical gold and all that paper stuff that I don't touch with a 10-foot pole. Paper gold's not gold. It's some sort of a representation of gold. But if in a real crunch, you try and get your hands on that gold, it's not going to be there.
But this also speaks to one of the most important rules in the Basel III framework, the NSFR, the Net Stable Funding Ratio, which essentially makes it much more difficult for banks to use the paper gold market to suppress physical gold prices. Under the new rules, there's no more manipulating gold prices or keeping prices artificially low, because banks must hold physical gold to back their transactions, not unallocated contracts. That's why Giustra says it's not crazy at all when we see gold price predictions ranging from $20,000 to $50,000 an ounce. And although he himself does not try and predict gold prices, he said it is very clear that there's a reason we're not being told any of this.
It's certainly going to be a lot higher than $3,000 an ounce.
Yeah.
And that's why, and I think that part of the reason that we, the investing public, are not being told that is because they don't want us to own it. It's not about individuals.
Because they need it.
They need it, and they don't want you to front run it. If they came out and told you the plan tomorrow that gold is going to play a role, some kind of a role, everybody'd rush in.
But as gold is being remonetized, simultaneously, cash is being erased. Most recently in Spain and Portugal, we witnessed terrifying blackouts that shut down ATMs and access to cash, which, as Daniela put it, was bizarre timing, suspect given the fact that Spain had just imposed penalties for those trying to withdraw as little as 3,000 euros. And as Giustra put it, this is an escalation on the war on cash.
A war on cash. It's a war on cash. And by the way, I think Spain's not going to be alone. There's going to be a war on cash everywhere in the world, because we're moving towards a digital central bank system for currencies in one form or another. In the U.S. it may be stable coin, who knows? But it's going to be a digital currency, and they don't want you to have cash. They'll obviously say the reasons are for money laundering purposes or tax evasion. But at the end of the day, it's about control. Once they can control all of your spending behavior, they control you.
This is the next phase of the reset. Total control. That's the real goal.
But it's not about preventing the next crisis. It's almost as if they're preparing for the coming crisis.
The infrastructure is being built, the policies are shifting, and the crisis is clearly being prepared for or engineered. I don't know. But while some will want to ignore this, it is the reality we live in. And as such, Giustra closes out by saying,
and if you don't get your act together and protect yourself, no one's going to do it for you. There will be no bailout for individuals. None. You're on your own. And they'll come up with all sorts of reasons and excuses and people to blame when the poop finally hits the fan, but you'll be on your own. So it's your responsibility to protect yourself in any way you can.
That is the message here. The time to prepare is before, not late stage reset or after. So protect what is yours today. And yes, that means with physical gold. In a world where all assets are manipulated and tracked, physical gold stands alone as a way to protect your wealth against what's coming next. So if you're ready to protect your savings, your retirement, and get a strategy in place with physical gold, now is the time. We specialize in helping people just like you prepare and protect what is theirs, to take your control back, which you can do by calling us directly at the number below. You can also click the link in the description. If you expand the description, there's a link where you can click and set up a time that works best for you. Or you can scan the QR code and set up a call that way as well, whatever is easiest for you. And in addition to talking to one of our expert analysts, make sure you have your free ITM Gold and Silver Guide downloaded, as it is an incredible resource with a ton of information around gold and silver and how to protect yourself. You can get your copy today also by clicking the link below, or again, scanning the QR code. However you do it, make sure you do it now while you're thinking about it, so that you aren't kicking yourself later wishing you had taken action then. Also, if you'd like to watch the entire Daniela Cambone and Frank Giustra interview, it is packed with good information. I summarized a lot of the key notes today, but if you want to watch the entire thing, we have linked that below as well too. And in the meantime, I so appreciate you being here. I'm Taylor Kenny with ITM Trading, your trusted source for all things gold, silver, and lifelong wealth protection. Until next time.